What's up, A to Z Sports Live on this Thursday. Gonna have a good show as the Titans have wrapped up mandatory minicamp a day early. Typically, they allocate 3 days of mandatory minicamp in June, but the Titans under Mike Vrabel consistently only take the first couple of those, and then I'm sure they'll do some type of team building activity today that we'll find out via the Titans social media later on in the week about what they go do today as a team. But yesterday and really the last couple of days have been a lot about updates around Traylon Burks not practicing in mandatory minicamp. We talked a lot about that yesterday, and also Jeffery Simmons not practicing at mandatory minicamp. He's there. He spoke to the media yesterday, but he did not practice either day on the field. We'll hear from both Big Jeff and Mike Vrabel, who talked yesterday about Big Jeff's situation and the plan the Titans have together. And then, Zach, I have a theory. I have taken the puzzle pieces, I've taken my context clues, I've taken Jeffery Simmons' words, Mike Vrabel's words, and I've blended them together to come up with a theory on why I think Jeffery Simmons is not practicing and did not practice in mandatory minicamp, and what that means moving forward. So I'm really curious to see how people feel about that. Then we will move on, ask a couple questions about Jeffery Simmons when it comes to training camp and his contract. Should the Titans extend Jeffery Simmons this summer or wait until next offseason? It's also a Thursday, which means the Magic Bucket. And we have a Magic Bucket reset that we're excited to talk about at the end of the show in a kind of a game show feel that we're going to have to today's Magic Bucket and what that means for the Magic Bucket really for the rest of the year and beyond. So, Zach, welcome in. Hope your Thursday's off to a good start. I'm glad to be indoors doing this show in temperature control after sweating for the last 2 mornings.
Yeah, I bet. Well, happy Titans Thursday to everybody. We got a big show today to talk about Big Jeff, and we're going to take a deep dive into that. The great part about minicamp in June, and this is kind of the push to July, is we now have a lot of content and topics to talk about. And whether it's Malik Willis, whether it is the tight ends, the corners, what Austin saw. And so, we'll be talking about that over the next couple of weeks leading into July, where Austin and I usually take a break at the beginning of the month of July, and then the grind begins. The grind doesn't stop until the Super Bowl, and we'll find out if the Titans are going to participate in that, but that's up to them. So a big show today as minicamp concludes, and Big Jeff is unavailable. We'll hear from Mike Vrabel and Jeffery Simmons today, which I'm eager to hear. But we are broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Follow us on Twitter at A to Z Sports. We'll be tweeting out the YouTube links throughout the course of the show. So that's kind of a way that you can get in on our segment resets, right? So we got segments throughout the course of the show. We're going to be tweeting them out at A to Z Sports. It's good to follow that. And it's also good to follow us and subscribe on YouTube. We got, videos galore from yesterday when it comes to minicamp highlights. You can go watch all of those, and we'll have more over the next couple of days. We banked a couple to trickle out on Thursday and Friday. So you can like this video if you're watching on YouTube and subscribe to our channel. We got more people subscribing, which is good. So we're building. Tell your friends about the A to Z Sports Nashville YouTube channel. It is a good subscription there. Facebook, The Real OGs. What's going on Facebook since day one? We appreciate you. Bottom left corner of your screen. Share now to public. Sharing is caring, and caring is sharing on this show, as we say. We need to pop up in your Facebook friends news feed. How that happens is you guys share the show around. So on a Titans Thursday, let's pitbull it up. Let's get this party started.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us all over social media, as we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Find the link to the show on our Twitter feed, also on our Instagram story. Hit us up on TikTok for more Titans content as well. We got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us, and they help out you guys. Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process simply by going to wilsoncountyhyundai.com or going to check them out and seeing what they have on the lot there in Lebanon. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care in Franklin at their main campus. And Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans. That's better coverage, better rates, better service. Learn more about a health plan for you at fbhp.com/ATOZ. So, Zach,
Austin, let me stop you there. And I don't
okay.
usually do this to start the show, but I saw a comment that caught my eye, and it has to do with what you and I talked about pre-show. And we were just talking about all different topics. That's how Austin and I prepare, is what should we talk about? What do you think the fans, I mean, that's first and foremost. What do you think the chat would like to talk about? What questions would they like to answer? And Alonzo brings up something interesting that we were talking about. Does some, not all, but some of the Titans fan base feel, and Alonzo says, why do I have this weird, odd feeling that we might try to trade Jeffery Simmons? You know, these are the things that we do. So, I mean, that caught my attention from Alonzo early on, because we literally talked about, how do Titans feel about this whole situation? Do they have, the A.J. Brown syndrome, right?
Okay, so I'll ask this to Alonzo, right? And so, and Alonzo says, it follows up, says, we, the Titans, he says, have done dumb stuff like that before. Okay, Alonzo, here's my question to you. Other than A.J. Brown, who is the other Titans rookie contract player that they traded away because they could not come to a contract extension? Name the other person besides A.J. Brown where this has happened.
Are you going to wait on Alonzo?
I mean, I don't think anybody has the answer to that, right? Has it ever happened before? I mean,
no, they have not traded. They've let go. They've let walk.
Who else have they let go that they should have held on to?
Well,
right?
After drafting?
Yes, like rookie contract guys. Like, I'm not talking about Jarrell Casey, right? Because they traded Jarrell Casey away.
Well, they let Jack Conklin walk, right?
But
you asked for an example.
Sure,
whether it's the right or wrong decision, that's my example. So I'm going to answer your question. Jack Conklin, they did not re-sign. They let him walk.
But that's also not what Alonzo's asking. He's talking about trading away Jeffery Simmons, right? They haven't done.
You know what Alonzo's talking about, Austin? This is trade postpartum.
PTSD?
This is trade postpartum. You're sitting there and you've got the blues, right? You're sad. You're like, what just happened? Like, are we going to do this again? My life, I thought, was going to be different, right? I mean, that's kind of, I think, how it feels. But I don't know how many Titans feel that, or are they ready to move on and are interested? Obviously, the Traylon Burks saga and the asthma hasn't helped things.
Sure.
But there's something there that Alonzo has brought up.
All right, so people are bringing up options that are not what Alonzo's talking about, but Jack Conklin is one that came up probably first. So Jack Conklin is a player where circumstantially we have to remember what happened, right? Because the Titans made the correct decision in not picking up Jack Conklin's fifth-year option because of the injuries he had during the middle of his Titans career. Jack Conklin had a great first year, a really wishy-washy second and third year, and then a really, really good fourth year where the Cleveland Browns paid him $20 million in the first year of his deal with them, right? The Titans at the time could not afford for that to happen. Why? Because who else were they having to sign the contracts? Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry. And so the Titans chose those two guys over Jack Conklin, which was the correct decision, right? It was the correct decision to not pay Jack Conklin.
At the time it was, yes.
Right. Then who else did they let walk, right? Adoree Jackson and Corey Davis.
Yeah, Corey.
It was the correct, but I don't want to get into your opinion on Corey Davis real quick because we all know it. But it was the correct decision to let Corey Davis and Adoree Jackson walk and not pay those two guys the money that the Jets and the Giants in New York gave them. So, and then somebody brought up Albert Hainsworth, which was like 3 or 4 general managers ago, but and also a different era of free agency where I remember waking up my freshman year in college and Albert Hainsworth signed the deal with Washington in the middle of the night for $100 million. Like, I remember like, wait, what? But the Titans we're actually okay to let him go because what happened to Albert? He got fat and lazy in Washington, and he never did anything to live up to anything after that fact. So nothing. The Titans have not been burned by this. Like they let Avery Williamson go. Okay, that's fine. Like they let guys who outplayed their rookie contract that are not worth.
I think what Alonzo Austin, what Alonzo is bringing up is that for once in the Titans franchise, they draft a dynamic, super talented player, and they don't pay him.
Right.
Right.
But how many times?
But that's not. No. But Austin, that's not how it's supposed to work. Now, this is how it happened. And we're not going to get into the deep dives of that. But what you're supposed to do is draft a super talented player that can change the course of your franchise and help your franchise win, and then you pay him. They did that with Harold Landry, right? That was an example.
They've done that with Harold Landry. They've done that with Jarrell Casey. They've done that with Taylor Lewan, Kevin Byard, Derrick Henry. Like, how many more do we have to continue to list?
But here is the caveat, Austin. In today's era of football, the wide receiver position is valued more than ever. I mean, look at the contracts.
Sure.
Look at who's getting paid.
I don't want to get into another A.J. Brown conversation, but the point of Alonzo.
That's why Alonzo feels the way he does.
All right. So Alonzo feels one thing happened, right? One time the Titans had a player worthy of a second contract and traded that player away because the negotiations failed, right?
He was the most talented wide receiver they've ever drafted.
Zach, I don't care. We're focused.
Well, you should.
Hold on. I'm trying to have a different conversation than the one that we've had 18 times since April 27th. Okay? So A.J. Brown's gone. That's the one time that it's happened for the Titans, and there's several other times that the Titans have been able to make that contract extension happen for the homegrown drafted player that overperformed and got the second deal. That's the point, right? So can we stay on track here? Alonzo, don't get too caught up into one thing that went bad when you've got 5+ examples of how the Titans are doing it the correct way.
It's a guy who it's relationships, right? Somebody lies to you or is a traitor in this sense, and you put your guard up though. But no, it's human nature to put your guard up. And I think this is an example of a Titans fan just putting his guard up. It's okay.
But this isn't an example of somebody lying to you and then you question everything they said before because
they've been hurt by something. They drafted the most talented wide receiver in the history of the franchise and they traded him away.
But we also have to understand that it takes two to tango. There was a lot of mess going on with A.J. Brown's side of what he was doing and
on both sides.
Okay, whatever. Again, I don't want to go through this like we've done.
But we have to say both sides.
I just said both sides. I just said it takes two to tango. Do you not understand what that phrase means?
Yeah, but then you brought up just AJ's side.
Yeah, because we had spent the previous 5 minutes talking about the Titans side. Like, do you understand what I'm trying to do here? Okay, so can we move forward with Jeffery Simmons? Because there is a conversation to be had here. There is something going on because Jeffery Simmons goes through his the last 2 days of minicamp riding a bike, not practicing like everybody else. Okay, so let's talk about this. We obviously know that Mike Vrabel said he was unavailable, but let's hear from Jeffery Simmons. The first question he took was about his contract situation yesterday after he did not practice the 2 days at mandatory minicamp.
I'm here to play football. I got a team around me that handle my contract situations and my future and all that. So I'm focused on training, focused on getting ready for the season. I'm on a plan with, been talking to Coach Vrabel and Todd and everyone. Like you said, I'm unavailable to practice out here, if anyone will ask that. But I just been on a plan with them to focus on how much can I improve, not just, doing drills right now, but in the film room, in the weight room or anything like that. So my focus is not on my contract. That's why I got a team around me to actually, they can focus on, all the contract talk and whatever it may be, if it is contract talk. So like I said, my focus is on football right now.
Coach Williams said you're not hurt, so if you're focused on football, how come you're not on the field?
Because we are on. I kind of just said that me and Vrabel and them came to a plan where where they think best for me right now, and that's where I'm a player, and I believe in Coach Vrabel and I believe in Todd and them that since I've been here, they've been putting me in a great position to be the player I am today. So I'm on a plan with them right now.
So there's Jeffery Simmons. Todd is trainer Todd, not Todd Downing Todd, but that's Jeffery Simmons yesterday. So to put all that together, a plan from Coach Vrabel and Todd, the trainer, for Jeffery Simmons to not practice the last 2 days at mandatory minicamp. I keep wanting to say rookie minicamp, but credit Tennessee Titans for that video there yesterday at the press conference. So Zach, I have a theory, and we're going to hear from Coach Vrabel here in a second. I have a theory on why Jeffery Simmons did not practice the last 2 days.
Well, let me react to that video. I criticized, that was a great question by Kowarski.
Yeah.
Because Kowarski put him in a corner, right? And I'm not saying he did that strategically, but he asked him a hard question.
But it was the right question. It was the right follow-up question.
He asked him a question that was logical, which was, it doesn't make sense what you are doing, right? You are saying one thing, but your actions are another, right? And so could you explain that? That's essentially in a nutshell what Kowarski asked. And Jeff struggled to answer that question. Let's just be honest. He had what he was going to say going into it, was asked a question, and then, he didn't want to say what was really going on. That's what we're trying to diagnose. But I would credit, that was a good question by PK to force Simmons to think a little bit on, okay, how do I not say what we're actually doing behind the scenes, but say that I believe in this team?
Yeah, I had my canned answer. I said my canned answer. Oh crap, I didn't expect that. Like I wasn't right. So all right, so A to Z Sports here live. I've got my theory on why Jeff didn't practice the last couple of days, and I'll tell you that here in a second. But first, let me tell you guys about the Bone and Joint Institute. Today is the day I'm calling the Bone and Joint Institute to talk about my foot, because I got to get my foot checked out. I'm struggling with my foot arch injury that I've had the last couple of weeks, and I know where to go. That's the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org in Franklin. They have a specialist for any type of injury you could possibly have that happens in sports or just happens in life, because life happens and you get hurt. You got to know where to go to get right again. And you can trust the Bone and Joint Institute with your recovery, whatever you might need with whatever injury you might have or might get. They've got it covered. boneandjointtn.org.
A to Z Sports. Look, hey, we endorse, we use. I got the flu. I used Farm Bureau health plans. You're going to Bone and Joint Institute, unfortunately, for your injury. So we've got you covered. I own a Hyundai for right there in Wilson County. So that we speak the truth when it comes to that. Also speaking the truth, closeout game for the Golden State Warriors tonight in Boston. Who's going to win? Well, you can figure that out. Who's going to make a three? For new users, use the promo code ATOZ200. That's ATOZ200 for a $10 money line wager to win $200 when either team hits a three-pointer tonight. Somebody will hit a three-pointer tonight. I don't know which one's better. There was 4-3 last night. Avs in OT over the Lightning. You could have won money there because a goal was scored.
Mm-hmm.
You can win money tonight for new users. ATOZ200. No spaces. That is your promo code. Download the app today. That's BetMGM.
All right, so we just heard from Jeffery Simmons by saying that he's not worried about his contract. He is a team, which he was pressed about who's on his team of people, because Jeffery Simmons also does not have an agent, but he does have a team that is working for him about his contract situation for him to focus on football. Here's what Mike Vrabel had to say about Jeffery Simmons yesterday after minicamp concluded.
Board with a plan with you and everybody else here to, at this point during this minicamp, is it all designed to help him be at his freshest come training camp in the season at this point?
No, just doing exactly what we ask him to do. Like everybody else, everybody's got a different plan, and that's where we're at right now.
What is it that he can accomplish, being in the film room as opposed to, not having the field work like some of the other guys?
Well, we always ask guys that aren't, practicing to be doing and working just as hard. That's going to go on through training camp throughout the season. There's going to be times where guys aren't with us on the field, but we're going to need them on Sunday or whenever they can come back. So, just staying up on the installation. Some guys have gotten 8 weeks of it. Some guys haven't. I would say that the guys that haven't been here have gotten caught up. They got caught up pretty quickly.
So that's Mike Vrabel there. So Zach, I was trying to think of okay, what's going on here? I'm trying to use every piece of information that I have about, what Jeff said, what Vrabel said, what we've seen. And, Teron's question I thought was interesting because, Jeffrey said that he's working on film, working on other things besides drills. And so I'm like, why would they have Jeffery Simmons not work on those drills and only focus on that? Are they punishing him for not watching enough film? I'm like, that can't be it. Is he behind because he hasn't been here for the last couple of months? That can't be it because Bud Dupree, Harold Landry, Nate Davis, Kevin Byard missed some time. Zach Cunningham and a bunch of other guys missed time during voluntary work. And they were out there at mandatory minicamp, not having to focus on non-football or drill aspect to get caught back up from missing out on 8 weeks of installation. So I'm thinking what's going on here? Because those two things I just went over, that's not the reason, right? Here's the only thing I can come up with of why I think Jeffery Simmons didn't practice is because there is a contract thing going on. Jeffery Simmons wants to send a message to the Titans that he saw Aaron Donald. He saw these other contracts happen. He knows what just happened with A.J. Brown. He wants a new deal. He's only getting $2 million this year in the last year of his deal. Then he's got $10 million in a fifth-year option the Titans picked up last month on the fifth-year deal, right? He doesn't want to get fined because he hasn't made enough money to endure $100,000 of fines in 2 days like Taylor Lewan did a few years ago, right? But he wants to send a message. And he also knows this. There is 0 point for Jeffery Simmons to risk any type of injury for 2 days in June minicamp where he has to be there. He has to be there or he gets fined. But if he does not practice and they come up with the plan that he's on, because Mike Vrabel has established since his first year as head coach that every player's plan is different, so they can get away with that as the cover-up, that Jeffery Simmons can avoid any type of on-field injury to hurt his potential contract negotiations moving forward. There is 0 to gain for Jeffery Simmons to practice on the field in June during mandatory minicamp, so don't lose anything. And by riding a bike, he doesn't lose anything. So that's my theory on why Jeffery Simmons is not practicing the last couple of days.
I agree with that theory. I thought of the same theory after hearing Simmons and Vrabel. They came together as, and you talk about and not to bring this back up, but just as an example, A.J. Brown's side and the Titans side did not come together. Well, it sounds like Jeffery Simmons' side and the Titans side came together for a conclusion, and they are working together. And Jeff is willing to work together. And I think this was understood by both teams, right? And the surprise thing is usually, Vrabel is unique because sometimes I understand Vrabel and sometimes I just don't, right? And Vrabel, and it's documented, has his moods, right? Yeah. Sometimes that just happens, right? Everybody has their moods. But sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed and he's pissed off. He don't want to answer any questions and he's snarky. And sometimes he's very open and honest and cordial and nice and willing. And I feel like this is kind of the side that we're getting from Vrabel before talking about what they're going to do with Big Jeff with mandatory minicamps, trying to buy this amount of time to get to the 7-week period and possibly sign him after July, or I guess after July 4th, right? That's kind of when things start to come together after the holiday weekend. So I agree with your theory. I do. I don't think this is, and you kind of ex-nayed all the things that it couldn't be, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But I agree with your theory because of when PK asked him that question, he didn't have a good answer. And he basically just said, my side, my team, and the Titans team came together and we're on the same page.
But Jeff played dumb of, I don't know what's happening upstairs because my team handles that. And I told my team that I don't want to know, right? That he's focused on football. Well, how are you focused on football but not doing drills?
Well, and his team is smart to go to the Tennessee Titans team and say, hey, look, this is what we're going to do. Yeah. He's not going to participate in mandatory minicamps. He's going to be there because our guy, Big Jeff, is a team guy. He's going to ride the bike. He's going to be a part of it. He's going to do the film, but he's not going to practice.
Yep.
That's our negotiation and what we're willing to do to continue these talks to get a deal done.
Right. So Xavier asks on Facebook, he says, if he's not injured, which Terrell Williams said that he's great physically, if he's not injured and he's in shape, why isn't he out there? Well, Xavier, healthy, in shape athletes get hurt in practice. Ask Robert Woods. Right. But again, like I'm not saying that you have to, but again,
it's an olive branch, guys.
But that's
an olive branch.
But the point is, Robert Woods in the middle of the season tore his ACL in practice out of nowhere on a Friday, and you're like, what the hell? Like, but again, that's the point. That's my entire point. There is nothing for Jeffery Simmons going into year 4. There's nothing he's going to gain by doing on facility field drills in minicamp where there could be something that happens that jeopardizes his financial future.
Well,
there's nothing to gain.
Don't have to make him they don't have to allow him to do this. They could fine him. Right? They could say practice or we're going to fine you, right? They could play hardball. Right, they just decided not to.
Yeah, because they also want, everybody wants to get something done.
Well, that is, I think, writing on the wall is an olive branch has been gifted both sides.
Yes.
This is the deal. Jeffery Simmons' team, I would bet, talked to the Tennessee Titans prior to this thing, and they figured it out before camp. So Vrabel's not coming in there and saying, Big Jeff, why the hell are you not dressed, right? This was negotiated, maybe lack of a better term, prior to mandatory minicamp because Big Jeff didn't show up to any of the OTAs.
No, and so Xavier also says, why not do that with Harold Landry? Well, let's think about that for a second, right? Like, let's talk about it in a different player situation. One, this year, Harold Landry's already been paid. So he's there. He wasn't there in voluntary work. He showed up in mandatory minicamp work and did his stuff, right? But think about if this was Harold Landry going into last season, going into last year of his rookie deal, Harold Landry hadn't earned what Jeffery Simmons has already earned in the year before his last year, right? Like Jeffery Simmons' breakout year happened in year 3. Harold Landry's breakout year happened in year 4, contract year. So Harold Landry still had more to gain on the field in mandatory minicamp, where Jeffery Simmons at this point has shown enough to get that benefit of the doubt.
Plus second versus first round pick.
Yes. And
that's the biggest difference. There's a fifth year option. So these are why they're not the same. Harold Landry, he was projected as a first round pick. He dropped into the second. You don't get the fifth year option. This is actually, it kind of leads into what we're going to talk about.
I've got another comment too as well.
Go ahead.
To read. Because Tyler says, so he can go to Von Miller's camp, but he can't practice because we're worried about he may get hurt. Again, Tyler, and if you listen to what Jeffrey said about the Von Miller camp, is that was more classroom than it was on the field. He went to the camp and they do some things, but they're not going full speed drills at Von Miller's camp. They're going through walkthrough to go over technique that they went over in the classroom of whiteboard sessions about. That's the pass rush camp. Because I also saw Max Crosby going through some stuff too about that too. So that's not a lot of full speed deals. And you're not going in a full practice where you've got 11 guys on offense and defense going through a play where chaos happens and guys go on the ground. Somebody rolls up on another person and you never know what might happen.
We'll move on to our question because I do think it's a good question. This is what I think happened. I think Big Jeff's team, I don't know who that is, they got up on the phone, they called up old J-Rob, and they said, look, this is what's going to happen. Jeff is going to show up to mandatory minicamp. He will be present, but we don't want him practicing. We're still in contract negotiations. He'll participate in film study. He'll be there. He'll ride the bike along with your first round pick, Traylon Burks. But he ain't getting on the practice field. So that's how we want to handle it. And what are your thoughts on that? And J-Rob obviously said, We can do that. That's okay.
Yeah. All right. So let's ask this question now, Zach. Will Jeffery Simmons hold out or practice in training camp without a new contract? Will Jeffery Simmons hold out or practice in training camp without a new contract? They report back on July 26th, so there's a little over a month to go. But will he practice or hold out without a new deal? Zach, tell us all about Farm Bureau health plans.
Yeah, FBHP.com/A to Z is where to go. Over 200 plus locations, better coverage, better rates, better service. I experienced that at the beginning of the year when I switched from my old health plan, which I was paying well over $200 per month. I'm now under $200 per month, and I have a better plan. I was kind of kicking myself. I should have done it earlier because I was on that old plan for like 3 years, but I just didn't know any better. I didn't have me to tell you about Farm Bureau health plans. So, and look, I am living proof. They have helped me in many ways. I've talked about having the flu a couple of weeks ago. I teledocked in. I had zero fee. There's nothing worse than giving out your credit card when you have 103-degree fever. Well, the good thing is I didn't have to give out my credit card because it was free. It was a part of my health plan, and I got the medicine needed to get better. And now I feel great because the Farm Bureau health plans help me in my time of need. Better coverage, better rates, better service, over 200 plus locations across the state. That's FBHP.com/A to Z. You can go online, look at their number, and call a real person. That's how I approached it. I like to talk, as you know. So I wanted to talk to somebody. I had questions. They answered all my questions. I went through a health assessment, got a quote, signed up, and I'm reaping the benefits. That's FBHP.com/ATOZ.
Don't forget, download the BetMGM app tonight. We've also got A to Z Sports Picks coming up at 2 o'clock later on today. So if you need help betting the NBA Finals game tonight, they got you covered. Alan Bell, Brian Edwards at 2 p.m. But if you're a new user, if you haven't downloaded and signed up for the BetMGM app yet, you should, because you're going to win $200 tonight. And that's not even what Alan and Brian might give you suggestions on where to place your bets. But BetMGM, here's what you do. You download the app, you use the code ATOZ200 when you sign up, and then you put a $10 moneyline wager on either team tonight, $10 moneyline wager on either team tonight, and you're going to win $200 when a single three-point shot is made. It is easy as that with code ATOZ200. Visit betmgm.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as knowledgeable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire in 7 days. For problem gambling support, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. Zach talking here. Our question specific, because I've got several people in the comments saying, oh, he'll have a new deal by then. That's not the question we're asking. Will Jeffery Simmons hold out or practice in training camp without a new contract? So we are operating with, he is not going to get a new deal. Will he hold out or practice without a new deal? Zach, I'll send you to the comments.
Because, I mean, the fact of the matter is he doesn't have a new deal, right? Like,
right.
We can't sit there and predict into existence.
He's got 2 years left.
Literally 2 years left. Let's see. Hold out or practice without a new contract. Tashawn says, hold on. He'll practice from Jared. Hold out from Jimbo. Practice from Eddie. Practice from Billy. He will practice in training camp from Scar. Nav454 says practice, but Keelan says hold out. Nate John says hold out, but Mark says practice no doubt. He will practice from Jason Martinez. Steven also says practice. Also, R3KT3E Skirlerb says he'll practice when he is required to, and that requirement will be training camp, right?
Well, I mean, you could argue that Tuesday, Wednesday, it was mandatory, right?
Right, but training camp's different, right? I mean, that's $40,000 a day that stacks up.
So is mandatory minicamp
pretty quick. Yeah, but it ends really quick.
Yeah,
training camp doesn't end for weeks, right? That's the difference. There's a huge difference between mandatory minicamp and training camp. So I think that's what we're diving into. Drake says practice. Titans Kyle says he'll practice. So does Guy. Steven says practice. Dotson says hold out, but will attend to avoid fines. I don't know if that works. I don't think he can do the same thing he did for mandatory minicamp and do the same thing for training camp. Usually teams don't allow that because they're going to, that's what the fine represents, right? Is we are paying you to participate in all the things that we want you to do. You cannot just get the easy way out. Michael Strahan would have done that for like 5 of his last, 6 seasons, right? Like he would have gone, not gotten fined. And he kind of did that at his last season, but instead he just retired and then unretired real quick before the season started, right? So you can't finesse that system. There's too much money on the line. So Austin, where are you at? I'll ask you the question that we're posing. Will Jeffery Simmons hold out or practice in training camp without a new deal?
If I were him, I would hold out.
What do you think he will do?
I think he'll hold out without a new deal. Now, what do we know about John Robinson? He signs contract extensions in July. We know that. It's the same, and usually it's the July 20-something. Derrick Henry's came July 15th, I want to say, and that was during the COVID season, summer, where there was no in-person work at that point. So maybe that's why it happened a few days earlier. But Lawan, Byard, Casey, all these extensions that have happened in the past have happened in like July 22nd through 26th or something like that. So that's where I think it would happen. But if it doesn't, then I think he's going to hold out. That's what I would do, because it's $2 million is what Jeffery Simmons is under, and he's got $10 million, $10.7 million in the 5th-year option. So he's not guaranteed a lot of money over the next 2 years. And I don't think that he wants like the big contract right now. He just wants the signing bonus. So if the Titans want to do this in a certain way to structure it, they can still give him the signing bonus now to extend him after the 2-year, keep the cap hit low this season like it is, and then have it lower and continue to be low-ish next year, and then have that salary cap be spread out over the duration of the extension. I just think if I'm Jeffery Simmons and he's trending to be a top 5 player at his position at this age, only 2.5 years into his career, I'm not playing or practicing in going into year 4 for just under $2 million, for just $2 million. I'm not doing that. So I think he will hold out if a new deal is not made by then.
Man, you and I are streaking. We're on a hot streak because I agree 100%.
Yeah.
You have to hold out. This is not even a question. He's already told you that he's going to hold out by his actions. He literally just said that. We heard that at the beginning of the show. He's not going to practice. If he's refusing to practice in mandatory minicamp, which is kind of what has happened. Now, refusing, the Titans have allowed him to refuse to practice, right? He's not going to change his ways, and his team should play hardball because $2 million is just not enough. And we'll get into another conversation here shortly about, the contract of what the Titans should do, but Big Jeff should absolutely hold out for a new contract, not for an extension. He wants a new deal.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, well, he wants a new deal.
Right, that extension and a new contract is the same thing when you're talking about Jeffery Simmons.
Well,
they extend his contract.
$2 million for what he has done for your team to avoid injury, right? Because 17 games and the likeliness of something going down, you can't afford that. As what Jeff has already done his work, right? I mean, he's already put in what he is. Now, what he will become, I think everybody is eager to see, right? Can he be the next? And no one will be the next. Aaron Donald is a generational talent, right? That will be somebody that, we'll be looking at. It's kind of like Reggie White. And a lot of people didn't watch Reggie White in that era of football, but Reggie White was as tenacious as Aaron Donald is today. I don't foresee Big Jeff getting to that level, but I do think he has the talent, size, and skill to get close. I think he can be, who would I compare him to in this Aaron Donald? This is a good question. It's a little side topic. In this Aaron Donald era, who has been the number 2, right? Who has been the second best defensive lineman consistently? Because you had like Geno Atkins come in for a split. Vita Vea has been good, but
I mean, it's Fletcher Cox kind of got that recognition for a while, but then
Yep.
obviously you get old and that happens. I think DeForest Buckner right now is the second highest paid.
That's a good example.
Teddy Wap says Cam Hayward gets a ton of respect, but again, he's into his 30s. Ndamukong Suh had that for a bit.
Ndamukong Suh,
Chris Jones of the Chiefs.
Yeah. So there are examples of what Big Jeff can become. I mean, Ndamukong Suh took the money in Miami and it didn't work out, right? We all know that.
Yeah.
But Big Jeff, I think, and I guess we'll wait to talk about this for the next topic, but I think you have to hold out and send the message to the Titans that I'm not playing for $2 million.
Yeah, because right now Jeffery Simmons is set to make. Here's the crazy thing. So Jeffery Simmons' rookie year, his yearly cash was $7.7 million. Then his yearly cash in year 2 was $1 million. Then 1.6 last year, just 2.2 this year, and then the 5th-year option gives him $10.7 million in his pocket next year. But again, like it's not like he's been paid his signing bonus he's gotten. So he's just making like a little bit of money off of being a really high-level player and going to the Pro Bowl last year. So in Jeffery Simmons' mind, he's got to play. He cannot play under $2 million without getting a signing bonus extension, right? Like maybe the extension gives him a $20 million signing bonus that he gets now, but his base salary remains at $2.2 million like it was supposed to be. So now his cap hit doesn't just explode like it would normally because you're keeping that base salary low. So that's where I think the situation needs to be. So it's
I'm with you. And let's see here. Somebody brought up, Antoine brought up like Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan's more of a defensive end it's like not an interior defensive line,
yes.
Right? So we're talking about the big hog molly defensive lineman right there. AJ Brown getting traded really benefited Big Jeff.
Sure, and it also accelerated this conversation.
Julio Jones getting released really helped Big Jeff.
So let's ask this next question, Zach. So we just talked about it from the Jeffery Simmons side. Let's talk about from the Titans side. Should the Titans extend Jeffery Simmons this summer or wait until next offseason? Should they try to wait, right? Because obviously if Jeffery Simmons holdout happens, the Titans are going to be forced to move forward. But I guess this question's asking, should the Titans work to get this extension done before training camp? So that's where I want to go to next. But first, tell everybody about Wilson County Hyundai.
Yeah, Wilson County Hyundai is where you need to go to get your next ride. Your perfect make and model is right around the corner. Quick trip down I-40 exit 236 at Wilson County Hyundai. Payne Bone, who owns and operates Wilson County Hyundai. I mean, it's family owned and operated. You cannot beat that. We'll give you a good deal. You can test drive the vehicle of your choice. Both Austin and I have test driven the Palisade. It's a full-size SUV. It's third row seating. It's a great time to save on fuel, right? And you can get a great price at Wilson County Hyundai. They also have the Ioniq, which is battery powered. I mean, you can avoid fuel prices by getting a battery powered vehicle. You can order that at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Give them a call or swing by, like I said, exit 236. That's wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
Download the BetMGM app tonight. New users with code ATOZ200. All you got to do is you're going to win $200 when you place a $10 moneyline wager on either team tonight, Golden State or Boston. $10 moneyline wager on either team wins you $200 when a single 3-point shot is made. That's with code ATOZ200. So just take advantage of that right now. It could be a closeout game in the NBA tonight or Game 7. You never know what's going to happen, but A to Z Sports Picks coming up at 2 p.m. with Alan and Brian to get you prepped for Game 6 tonight. So we'll see you there, but don't forget ATOZ 200 at the BetMGM app. The question now from the Titans perspective, should the Titans extend Jeffery Simmons this summer or try to wait until next offseason? What's the chat saying, Zach?
So, I mean, there's a couple of different ones, but let's go to the chat. extend now or next season. Derek says now. Steven says next. This summer from Jared, pay him now. Drake says next season. Cincinnati Titans says next. He's under contract for 2 more years, which is the truth. There's no lies there. Pay him now from Teddy Wap. Jason says now. Extend him this summer. Absolutely do it now. Try to wait till next season from Guy. Yes, pay him yesterday. Lock his ass up from Eric this summer and before training camp. So Carl is going right in July before training camp from Will Dotson. This from Eric. So he's talking about this summer, next offensive or next off season from Nav. Your signature is your word. Otherwise, just get rid of rookie contracts altogether. So I understand what Nav is saying, but here's the nuance to that. Big Jeff has played his way into this situation, right? Like, yes, like you signed, but Corey Davis did not, right?
Harold Landry did not at this point in his career, right?
Well, he's a 2nd-round pick. So
but again, I'm talking about going into the last year of the deal.
Right, but the nuance to this is the option is that you have 2 years left on your deal. Yes. And 1, the team has control, right? The team has say. Now, it doesn't mean that the player won't hold out on that last year, but Jeffery Simmons in 3 short years as a 1st-round pick has done exactly what the Titans drafted him to do. And look, on draft day, I remember that this was when the draft was in Nashville. When they picked him, I was very skeptical of his off-field concerns. I thought, and they got value. So the 2 risks that the Titans took was he had domestic violence case against him in high school leading into Mississippi State. He had done everything that he was supposed to at State, though, right? So, but this is a bigger deal, right? You're getting money. There are other things. And the other caveat was he tore his ACL that February. He has amended both of those. He hasn't really gotten in trouble. I mean, he has not been in any trouble as far as domestic violence since he was drafted.
Anything outside of football, right?
Right. No criminal charges have come down on Jeffery Simmons. And he healed from the ACL and has become a dominant force in this defense. Austin, I think we would both say, who's the best defensive player on this team?
Jeffery Simmons, probably.
It's Jeffery Simmons. He was the best player. So he played his way into this circumstance. So, look, I think overall, the chat is saying, and Eric says he missed the half of the first season, his rookie year. He started against the Chargers. I remember that game. So that was his first kind of starting point. So he got a late start, and he's been dominant ever since. Austin, what do you think the Titans should do?
I think they should pay him this summer. It's just going to get more expensive, right? Because Aaron Donald's getting $31.5 million or whatever it is. From the Rams.
But they won't compare those.
I know that. But DeForest Buckner, Zach, got $21 million 2 years ago.
Well, that's a difference, though. Aaron Donald is the anomaly. That's why I say you can't compare.
I know. So if DeForest Buckner's price was $21 million 2 years ago, what's that do to Jeff's price now? And then if it's going to inflate that much, then what's Jeff's price next year?
Well, it depends on his year, right? So that's the
I think most people are outside of an injury that you can say with literally every player, it feels like Jeffery Simmons only going one direction, right? Like that's right. And the Titans defense is going one direction, and Jeffery Simmons and Kevin Byard are carrying them that direction.
Right. So, but let's go 2 scenarios. If he has a stellar all-pro or Pro Bowl season, that price is going to increase next year if you even make it that and he doesn't hold out and he actually plays under the $2 million deal. Or what do you think it would be if he does get hurt, right? So he gets hurt for an extended amount of time. He doesn't finish out the season. Does that, and I say that, and I don't wish that upon anybody.
No,
I'm just giving
that's
the circumstance.
impossible for me to answer that.
But what does that do to his price? Right.
I mean, what's the injury? Like you kind of Bud Dupree tore his ACL December 1st and the Titans gave him $82.5 million for 5 years. So what does that matter?
That's my point. No, you're proving my point.
No,
that's the correct answer. It won't matter.
Okay. So the fact is that's why. So are you agreeing with me that you should pay him now?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it won't matter. That's what I'm saying. You have to look at this in the Titans' eyes. I gave you two scenarios: him being all pro or Pro Bowl, or him getting hurt. Neither really affect what you would have to pay or the pay increase from what it's going to be next year. And here's the biggest deal, and I mentioned it earlier. You freed up money because you didn't pay A.J. Brown, and you got $9 million from Julio Jones. You have the money.
And I think, and here's the thing, and I said this right before we started the conversation. The way A.J. Brown's situation played out accelerated the Jeffery Simmons contract negotiations. I feel like if A.J. Brown's contract negotiation went smoothly, A.J. got extended, I feel like Jeffrey probably wouldn't press as much this summer to get extended and would be more okay with doing it next summer because he just saw the expiring contract in AJ get done, then his expiring contract the next year can get done. I feel like that's how it could have gone. Maybe I'm wrong. But I feel like because of AJ's was as diabolical as it was, then now Jeffrey's like, well, hell, I better get paid now too. And so that's moved it up almost a full year to have these conversations now. Because really, AJ accelerated his own contract by saying, hey, in March, hey, where's my money? And J-Rob's like, yo, chill. We're still in free agency in the draft, man. Let's do this after we get Julio's money back in June. AJ's like, no, now. And so now everything's just going faster, faster, faster. And the Titans are trying to keep cap, cash flow, all these types of things figured out. And so, but now that AJ's not here, I feel like the Titans need to do this now. One, to avoid AJ happening again. I don't think that's going to be the case. And also two, because they have to. They can't afford for him to go away. And Jeffery Simmons is only getting more expensive.
Yep. I expect, as you have expected, July is the time before training camp. Jeff will get his deal. And, you know, the good thing is that people will start to open their eyes and say, wow, the Titans paid. It's kind of like when, again, I bring up Geno Atkins, because when the Bengals paid Geno Atkins, I was like, I mean, I knew he was good, but I didn't know he was that good. That's, I feel like, what NFL fans around the league are going to say about Jeffery Simmons. And then they're going to go back and look on YouTube his highlights, and they're going to watch that Bengals game and be like, this dude is a monster. I mean, he moves weight like it's nothing. And so, big year for Jeffery Simmons. He's the best player on the defense. You sign him now, you get the deal done, you go into training camp, and you try to have the best defense in the league all year.
Yeah.
You can't do that without Jeffery Simmons.
Yeah, I mean, he's the anchor of it, right? Like, I think the most two important players of the Titans defense, which is probably another topic, are Jeffery Simmons and Kevin Byard. And I think you've got to have Jeff locked down. And I'm curious to see how it'll play out.
I actually have another one.
Okay, well, then we'll pencil that in for another topic and another day as we move forward into the NFL summer. I like it.
I like this too.
Okay. A to Z Sports here live on this Thursday. We have the Magic Bucket coming up here in a second, where we're doing something a little different today with the Magic Bucket, and then we'll talk about what the Magic Bucket will be moving forward, because we have some new submissions. But real quick, don't forget BetMGM. Download the app. Simply use the code ATOZ200, and you place a $10 moneyline wager on on either team tonight in Game 6 of the NBA Finals, and you're going to win $200 when a single 3-point shot is hit. So check that out with code ATOZ200. As I mentioned earlier, Alan Bell, Brian Edwards of A to Z Sports Picks live with their picks on tonight's game. And I'm sure AB will have a lot of college baseball conversation as well. But Game 6 preview tonight with A to Z Sports Picks at 2 p.m. Central Time, presented by BetMGM on the same channels you're on here. Now, let's get to the Magic Bucket. All right, so the Magic Bucket's actually empty, right? Jack and I pulled the last two last week, and it worked out, but it's empty now. So, Zach, you've got how many submissions ready to go? We have to get to a printer.
I added more yesterday. I've got close to 30 new submissions.
I've got 17, and I'm going to continue to add. So we just have 1 week to get to a damn printer. And the reason why this is complicated is because Zach doesn't want me to see his 30, and I don't want Zach to see my 17 plus. And so we kind of have to go to a printer separately and then cut them up separately. And then Zach deliver a baggie of hidden slips to me to just dump in there without looking.
And I'll say this, there's nothing better than seeing a man's reaction about pulling something he doesn't know and saying he's got to wear lipstick on tomorrow's show. And that I experienced that because Austin didn't know. A lot of them were my submissions last time. The previous time before, Austin's wife put in like 10 or 15, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't know the majority of them. So this is what makes the Magic Bucket fun. So we've got about a year's worth of submissions on the way, but that will start next Thursday. And so what we're going to do.
I just had a thought real quick because Mark's absolutely correct. And I kind of feel stupid. Pencil and paper is still around. Like we've this whole time we could have written these out and then cut up the paper to put them in the slip.
Yeah, we're millennials. We don't do that.
No, but it is hilarious that we have not thought about that one time in the last 2 months that we've been like, man, we got to find a printer. We got to get a printer. We have not thought about what Mark just said.
Well, Mark, working smarter, not harder. I respect that, Mark Jones.
And Jimbo says, let the viewers add some. You can.
I've got a couple of viewers on my list.
I do too. So if you want to DM us on Twitter or Instagram, Facebook DMs are a cluster and get lost, right? But Twitter or Instagram DMs for your Magic Bucket submissions. We're not going to say that anything you submit is automatically going to go in there, but most of them are going to make it for the most part, if they're achievable.
This is kind of funny. George says, I feel Zach's handwriting is really bad. It's not great, but it's not like a doctor's. Like it's not terrible, but Austin has better handwriting than I do. I would admit that.
Yeah. But I don't have, and I haven't written, I used to write on the whiteboard every morning for the show rundown, but we no longer have a whiteboard and I haven't had to write as much.
I'm getting trashed. I don't even want to try to read Zach's handwriting. Mine, I mean, yeah, it's not great. I'm not sitting here claiming it's not, but it's not a doctor's handwriting.
No.
All right.
So what are we doing?
So here, Austin, here's something we didn't talk about beforehand. This is gonna be tough because so this is what we're gonna do, chat. We're going to do, this is one of our favorite submissions, which is name as many blanks as you can in 15 seconds, right? And Austin gives me a scenario. I give him, and you get 15 seconds to name as many. So we wanted to do a competition. This is kind of our bye week before the season starts, preseason. But they've got to be somewhat even, right? Like I can't ask you to name like European sports cars and then you ask me for like fast food, right? That wouldn't be fair. So like, how are we going to even this out to like, this is going to be tough, right?
Yeah, I thought about the same thing too. Cause I was going to have like one hard one and then one that like match because who's going to go first, right? So we kind of have to get them approved.
I have a good, unique one that I'm curious to see how you'll do. Like you could do very well at it and then you could stumble. You won't only get like 3 or 4. You're going to probably get 8 minimum.
So George just did two things that I thought of.
Well, so I have a unique one.
Okay.
But we can't know what it is, right? That's the fun of making your brain work right before you have to do it.
Yeah.
So I have mine. I will give you mine first to you.
Sounds good.
This is interesting, okay? So how it works is I'm going to name mine. I'm going to state it once, state it again, and then the clock starts on the second time that I state it.
Right.
Again, unique. In 15 seconds, name as many articles of clothing as you can. As many articles of clothing as you can. Go.
Socks, underwear, shorts, pants, leggings, joggers, shirts, long sleeve shirts, jackets, vest, hoodie, crew neck sweatshirt, overcoat, pea coat, thong, bra.
Stop. 15.
I get 15.
Yeah. Like I said, that could go either way. I knew you were going to get at least 8, right? So you did really good.
Okay. I think my original one fits. 15's a lot. That might be one of the highest that we've ever had. I think I crushed that.
The highest one we ever had was Luke. He did 17.
Okay.
I think I'm going to lose this. And so here, well, we didn't tell you what we're going to lose. So the loser has to, for 15 seconds, make an animal noise of the winner's choice.
Yes.
So you're all going to get to have fun with that.
All right. So
that was good. I'll give you a golf clap on that.
yeah, I nailed it.
So don't make me do European sports cars.
No. Name as many types of soda as you can in 15 seconds. Name as many types of soda as you can in 15 seconds. Go.
Diet Dr. Pepper, Diet Coke, Coke Zero, Coca-Cola, Sundrop, Big Red, Mountain Dew, Mellow Yellow, Sprite, Powerade. That's not one. Sunkiss. What am I missing?
Oh no, you had it.
How many did I have?
You had 10 in 9 seconds, and then you only got one more in the last 6 seconds.
Why didn't I go with the diets? Root beer, IBC. I mean,
you went through the whole like.
I got
family.
my portion of my brain stopped. Right, I had done everything.
That's what happened to me, and I said thong. So I mean, that was my game winner there.
Sierra Mist.
Yeah. But I mean, I thought you had it, like it was going to come down to the wire. I also forgot to put my stopwatch, so you had extra time to think as I was like slowly.
I was thinking about this because that's when I came up with the Dr. Pepper Coke thing.
Yeah. All right, so I win, you lose. That both fair categories, right?
Fair. That was very fair.
Okay. So you have to make the animal noise of my choosing for 15 seconds.
That is correct. Dr. Thunder. God. Sam's choice.
All right, Zach.
RC
you have to make the animal noise of an elephant for 15 seconds. So let me get my watch out here. An elephant noises for 15 seconds. I go when you start. Five seconds. Oh God. All right, you're good.
15 seconds is way too long.
It's a long time. And Marcus says a fox. I almost said fox because I would have just made you what does a fox say? And go through that whole thing, right?
Look, Marcus, I don't know what that was. What do you think? I know
terrible.
what that was?
Terrible. Yeah, that was the worst elephant noise I have ever heard anybody make.
But what do you do?
Something like that.
That was good.
Yeah, because I know what an elephant makes. Don't you have like young nephew and niece? Like you should know how to do these animal noises.
No, we don't make animal noises when we're around. We play video games. We do other things.
Man,
we do arts and
don't
crafts.
Kids don't even know what an elephant makes.
We play Mario and make bracelets with my niece.
Oh, jeez.
But we're not sitting there like, we'll ask like, what is your favorite? But we're not,
Well, there you
plus
go.
They're older, right? I mean, they're now,
now they're too cool to do elephant noises.
Yeah, I mean, dude's almost 6 and 8. And so it's like, 8-year-olds like, she got, she's in different stuff.
Oh, all right. Well, that was a fun magic bucket. And
That
thank
was
you
a good, well, and look, we got a long road ahead of us. I will say this for my submissions. I don't know what yours are, but we got a long road.
There's like the ones that I have, some of them are like really fun. Like they're actually going to be in.
I've got some fun ones too, right?
Yeah.
They're not all like brutal.
Right. Yeah. And then some of them involve making fun of another A to Z sports employee. So, so that's good. All right. But we'll see you guys tomorrow on a Friday to wrap up a great week. We'll talk to you guys later on. Don't forget A to Z Sports Primetime with Buck Rising tonight wraps up his week. And by the way, if you're interested, we find out if Nashville hosts the World Cup in 2026 this afternoon. So be looking out for that. A to Z sports.com for all of our content there and across YouTube for Titans minicamp content too. We'll talk to you guys later on. Have a great Thursday. Appreciate it.